as well, Carl. You've had plenty of time to reflect, and in the lead up to the general election, of course, you got national headlines for your stance on RIC commemorations. So I suppose with that time to reflect, in any way, do you think inadvertently your stance, which led to a wide-ranging conversation, do you think that led to an increase in support for Sinn Féin on the ground, even though it wasn't your intention, obviously?
That's an interesting question. No, it's. I don't think it did me any harm electorally, personally. Look, Sinn Féin have to go out and put out their own manifesto. And Violet Ann was their candidate in the county, and she polled very well. And I mean this respectfully, she polled higher than everyone expected. I think it was a surprising result, but it's a result we respect and acknowledge. In terms of my stance in the RIC, it probably did me no harm electorally. It came up on doors, but I think anyone who knows me, and I think a lot of people in the county now would have seen and heard what I say about history over the years and months. This wasn't election opportunism. I firmly believed I would have resigned as mayor, in fact, if it had come down to it on this issue alone. So it wasn't done for, people called it bandwagon. I certainly didn't jump on the bandwagon. I set off the bandwagon. So, I mean, you can't really, I started a movement that I think was an important one to have. I've also been talking with figures in Fianna Fáil. I want to, first and foremost, when the Dáil is fully up and running, the economy is everything here now, and it has to be a sustainable economy, and there's climate change, and there's the well-being of our citizens, there's health, there's all of that. But when we've all of those programs up and running, and when we're delivering as a country in those regards, the commemorations will still continue. We're still in this decade of centenaries. I have a lot of thoughts in it. I'll be feeding into that. I'd like to show some leadership in that. I don't expect they'll put me into cabinet in my first few weeks as a TD, so I'm not expecting to be leading out a department in any regard like that. I'm quite realistic in those regards, but I would hope to have some inputs in terms of commemoration, because I think it's important. I must show you, actually, if we can manage this. I'm going to show you something I have in my office, because just one moment. An RIC whistle from Clare. So this was used by a sergeant in our county. So, you know, I'm absolutely not against the RIC. Items like that. This was gifted to me a few years ago, but items like that belong in a museum. And, you know, school kids should be learning about them. The general public should be learning about items like that. They have a place in history, but commemorating is an act of celebration. And that is why I took the stance day one. You can't celebrate an organisation that subverted Ireland's will for independence, but you can certainly remember them. You can do other things to remember them. You can have educational programs, you can have documentaries, etc. But that's really what I want to see. But I've often spoken about that whistle, and people said it didn't exist. It does exist. I have it here in the office, and it's just a little trinket there I have over the top of my desk. And look, history matters hugely to me, and I suppose I'm going to. I may as well tell the Clare Echo as opposed to him, but I'm going to, when I'm in Dáil Éireann, you know, those little 5-minute breaks you occasionally get, and you're moving from the Dáil chamber across the office. I'll be using my camera phone occasionally to blog about some of the history of Leinster House, because I've been blogging about Clare history for a number of years. But I think if people want to follow my social media pages, they might get some behind the scenes insights into Leinster House as well. So it's another passion I have in life, history. And I try to be true to myself at all times. So I'm a TD. I can assure people I won't be losing the run of myself, and I'll be doing what I've always done here at county level.
But just to follow up there on that question itself, but do you think, when you have thought about it, that it did, you know, that stance, that it did actually help Sinn Féin? I know by the time got in, it was a surprise, but do you think it just led to that conversation taking place that you know that Sinn Féin happened to benefit from?
No, I wouldn't agree. And actually, if it wasn't done for political gain, from myself personally or from my party, but if you do want to look at that metric, the opinion poll that followed my stance on the RIC, Fianna Fáil had a bounce in that opinion poll. Now I can't take all the credit for that, but Fianna Fáil 4 or 5 days later had jumped up to 32% in the opinion polls, and obviously that had dropped off again by the time the actual polling day came around. So politics can be quite fickle, and something that happens on Monday evolves during the week, and by Sunday it can give you a boost in opinion poll, or it can decline. Look, what people in Clare really wanted, and nationally, is I think they wanted to give a message to government. the outgoing government, and I think they did. I think that throughout the country, Sinn Féin had a surge vote. I don't necessarily believe that will be replicated if we had another election, next week, next month. That I could be proven wrong, and if I am, I hold my hands up in that regard. But I think if we did an election in Clare, even a few months' time, you're not guaranteed to get the same outcomes. And I certainly didn't do anything to help Sinn Féin's cause, and anything that they as a party do, or Fine Gael or any other party, I think they own that for themselves. I stood for Fianna Fáil, and I have my own personal belief system that I've been unwavering in as well. So I think, are they giving me credit for?
That's how
Are
we
they
know.
giving me credit
That's how
for?
we know.